Hi, welcome back to Box of Delights. In this video I'm going to give you a demo and overview of Level 7 Omega Protocol from Privateer Press. I think there's an understanding that, or rather a misconception, that this is an expansion to Level 7 Escape. You might have seen that I did a series on that. So my box has taken quite a bit of damage as it's been played. But no, this is a completely separate game. It's got miniatures. It's semi-cooperative. It's for 2 to 6 players. One of the players will play the alien clones, like in Level 7 Escape. The theme is the same. The other players will play Disco Team, a team of operatives who have been tasked with carrying out the Omega Protocol. In the first scenarios, there's a mission guide, like in Level 7 Escape. There's multiple missions. In the first one, your task is to lead the Disco Team, infiltrate Subterra Bravo, and find some research materials in an office and then escape through the A-lift. But the game is very, very different. A lot of people have described this as kind of Descent in space. It's a fabulous game, and probably a lot of the shortcomings, if you weren't a fan of Level 7 Escape, you're going to find those things are very much corrected in Omega Protocol. It's a very different game. There's no solitaire mode, and say it's a semi-cooperative game. I've boxed up a lot of my components. What I'm going to do is walk you through the setup, and we will perhaps have a round or two of gameplay to just demo and give you a feel for what this game is all about. The first mission is Knock Knock, Who's There? And it has to be said that the rule books are a lot better than I think Level 7 Escape. People found it difficult to traverse through the rule book with little rules hidden there and everywhere. But the basic rules for Omega Protocol are really simple. The only complication I've found is really trying to get things set up. Once you're set up, then the turn play is easy. So first thing we're going to do is create this map, and we've got all these map tiles that are going to allow us to do this. All the tiles in the map setup are numbered. So this is 2A. So for example, here's tile 2A. Here's 2A on one side, 2B on the other. We've got 4B here, 13A. Alright, so we've covered all the bigger tiles. Then we've got these corridors that link these rooms. And then on top of these corridors, we're going to place these square tiles, but we're going to do this last. So for the time being, keep those aside, and instead let's set up the main room. Okay, that's the main map set up, and now we can think about placing these other tiles. And this is where you need to look at the mission guide, and it tells you what those setups should be, because these are called the door markers, and it tells us to use one locked door marker, one jammed, find the jam, there we go, one jammed, and one short circuit. Okay, the other 3, because there's going to be 6 for this first mission, are just regular unlocked doors. Okay, now it's up to the overseer player. So one group of players is going to play the Disco Team, the other is the Overseer. They're the bad guys, if you like. The Overseer will place these doors on the map, and they'll do that face down, secretly. Okay, I like to do it kind of randomly for this demo, just so that you get the perspective of the game from the Disco Team. And also, if you want to play solitaire, you can take the role of both sides, but the location of the doors will be random. So we have one here, and the areas between each room, this is the wrong way around, the areas between each room, door, are separate rooms. They're considered separate rooms. Okay, and the last one here. So there's a room here, there's a room here, there's a room here, a room here, and a room here. Next we need to place the investigate markers. These are these markers here. I've separated out all the components I need for mission 1 just to make the setup easier for me. So we need these 6 investigator markers, and they'll go on the board as per the map. You've got to make sure everything is oriented correctly. And these represent things that the Commandos can find as they're exploring and investigating the map. We also place what's called the green commando passage tile. This is going to go here in this map. This shows where the commandos enter the facility. We need to take these investigate cards, shuffle these up. So these things like security monitor, a med pack, a stun stick, stimulants. These are things that, while exploring these investigate markers, you draw from this stack. And these are things that you can therefore pick up. We have a round tracker that runs from 1 to 20. I like to place this in a convenient spot, just in the middle for this game. This will be our timer for the game. We'll place the primary timer token here on the number 1 slot, the first round of the game. There is a crisis point in the game, so it kind of puts the pressure on the commandos to proceed more quickly, not just loiter, when the overseer will start to gain some advantages and the game gets a little bit more critical for the commandos. And I like to put a secondary timer token on, and in the first mission, and each mission guide will tell you when, it's the 8th round in the first mission. So I like to put a little timer token there just to remind me that crisis mode is, or the crisis point is hit at round 8. And the overseer has a number of actions available to them, and these are called their dashboard. So for example, this one says clone flankers. It allows them to spawn some clones at vents, for example. Surprise attack, make an attack against an enemy commando. This one says charge, move an enemy up to twice its speed stat when you activate. All right, so there's these different actions. Now each mission will have a different set of dashboard tiles available to the overseer. And your mission guide will tell you in this section here. So on mission 1, it says we have accelerated response, frenzy, cave-in charge, clone flankers, clone reinforcements, dodge, hasten, surprise attack. Okay, so these 9 cards are used for the overseer's dashboard. For the start of the game, just put them in a pile. We don't need to do anything with them just yet. This section of the guide is all about how the overseer sets up. So the next thing he does is set up his reserves, and it says he has 10 rogue clones and 8 warrior clones. So we go and grab these respective cards. We've got Dr. Kronos, Handler, Fear Hunter, Blaster, Reject, Warrior clone and Rogue clone, and their respective minis. And these become our reserves. There's our Rogue clones and our Warrior clones. Incidentally, if these are a little bit squished and warped when you get them out of the box, all you need to do is dunk them in some hot water, just off boiling, and then leave them in there for a few seconds, tip them out, and they should. You might need to just mould them back a little bit, just straighten them up. As soon as they cool, they're going to stick in that position. So that's how you fix your miniatures. Next, once the overseer set up their doors, and the energy pool will come back to in a minute, we set up the room stacks, and this will tell you that there's 5 room stacks in mission 1, and then exactly which cards are in each stack. And also there's going to be some mission objectives cards. In mission 1 it's going to be the office and the A-lift. So we grab our stack of room cards, and we're going to search for the ones that the mission setup asks us for. So for example, here's the A-lift and the office. And you can see I've already set up the 5 stacks, but you're basically just pulling out, and it was 2 cards for each of the 5 rooms, and then these 2 mission objectives. Now remember, there's 5 rooms on the map. The only one that doesn't count is the place where the commandos are coming in. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms, each separated by these door markers. So we're going to place one of these stacks, or the overseer is, into each of these rooms. And only they know which stack is in which room. And also they're going to place in some of these objectives. Remember, the commandos have got to try and find the office, the research materials, and then once they've found the research materials from the office, then they have to head to the A-lift and make their escape. The mission guide will tell you which rooms can have objectives in them. And these are the ones with these kind of these blue dotted outlines. So there's going to be a mission objective in this room, this room, this room, this room, but not in this room here, this central room, this one. Okay, but we've only got 2 objectives, so how do we mix it up a little bit? Well, we go back to our room deck and we grab a couple of clear cards. These are clears. There's nothing in this room. The room is clear. Okay, and this makes it up to the 4 objective rooms. So the overseer is then going to decide where they're going to put the clears and where they're going to put the A-lift and the office. And they're going to secretly then place this stack, the ones with the objective cards, in each one of the objective rooms. And what little deck, the location deck, the room deck without objectives, in this room here. Okay, because it doesn't have this dotted blue line in it. And there we go. As the commandos explore and they enter these rooms, then the overseer is going to reveal what's in the room. So, for example, in this room here we have a fire team, a team of warrior clones, or a recon patrol, 2 rogue clones and 1 warrior clone. All right, so they can really make things mean right at the beginning if they wish. What I like to do playing solitaire is just kind of do this a little bit more randomly. Okay. The actual order of the cards doesn't matter, because as soon as you enter a room, then this deck gets revealed by the overseer. Remember, when you're playing 2 or more players, then the overseer knows they're going to secretly place these. So there's quite a lot of strategy involved for the overseer. Where do they want to put the A-lift? Where do they want to put the research materials? So they might say, oh no, I'm going to put the A-lift here and the research materials up there and heavily guard this room. You get the idea. Finally, the overseer is going to have a starting number of energy pool, right? These are tokens that they can use to take actions, and they're equivalent to these adrenaline markers. And the mission guide for mission 1 tells us that the energy pool starting is the number of commandos times 2. Well, let's play with 3 commandos. I think we'll set up a 4-player game. 1 overseer, 3 commandos. So 3 times 2 is 6. We'll take 6 as our starting pool of energy. In fact, I think we'll switch things over. We'll put the overseer over here where we've got a little bit more room. The idea of this energy pool is that if you want to take an action, for example, like cave-in, it has a cost. This one costs 10, but perhaps charge, which is a little bit easier, costs 4. So what that means is you have to take 4 tokens to play this action. Okay, I'll show you that when I'm demoing the game. The commandos, on the other hand, and we've got 5 to choose from. Remember, this is a game for 2 to 6, so up to 5 commandos. I mean, you can have, if you're playing a 2-player game, have one of the overseer, and then perhaps the second player takes the role of 3 commandos, let's say. These guys, when they're taking actions, will actually use adrenaline, and the adrenaline they use to take their actions will go to the overseer player. So the overseer player spends adrenaline to take actions. The commandos will be kind of refueling the overseer's pool of available energy tokens by themselves taking actions. So that's kind of nice, a neat mechanic. If the commandos do very little on a turn, then the overseer's got less adrenaline available for them to respond. But if the commandos take lots of actions and are very busy, then the overseer is also going to be able to take lots of actions in response. We've got 5 to choose from. We've got team leader, countermeasure specialist, reconnaissance specialist, rifleman, heavy support specialist. So let's choose 3 of these for our demo game. We've got heavy support specialist, a rifleman, and a reconnaissance specialist. I'll take the corresponding miniature for each. So here's our heavy support specialist, our rifleman, who has this big backpack, and a reconnaissance specialist. Each commando will have a stance, so we give each one a stance deck. This is a deck of 3 cards, and it represents the stance that particular commando can have on this particular round of the game. So this is a nice, neat little additional mechanic. So, for example, this stance is hustle, cautious advance, or braced. So depending on the stance of the commando, it might give them different stats. For example, we've got double time, cautious advance, and prone, okay, for the rifleman. So if you look at the recon specialist here, these are the different stats he has, and this stance will change up his speed and his defense stance. This is his defense against ranged attacks, and this is his defense against melee attacks. So there are advantages and disadvantages for each stance. It doesn't matter what we set into its setup, because we're going to choose our stance when we begin the first round. Next, each commando is going to choose their kit. Yeah, that's right. Each commando can have their own set of kit. There's a set of common kit cards which anyone can choose from. Alright, we'll put those to one side for now. And each commando also has his own set of unit-specific kit. Alright, and it's determined by the back face of each of these kit cards. Alright. Each commando can take up to 6 points of kit during setup. They can take this from the common deck, and the cost of each kit is given in the lower left. So for example, if the reconnaissance specialist wanted some optical upgrades, they could use one of their 6 to get those. There's more than one of each card as well. Enhanced targeting, a med pack. So for example, the med pack costs 1. So let's say that the recon specialist chooses a med pack. He's now got 5 left to spend from his unit specific deck. So from this kit deck we got hard target, trip mine, slippery, survivalist, knife work. I'm going to choose trailblazer, which costs 2, spotter, which costs 2, and point man, which costs 1. So that's my total of 6. Alright, so only the recon specialist can take these cards. Heavy support specialist, I've chosen all specialist stuff. Armoured, advanced armour upgrade, steadfast, armour piercing rounds, enhanced servos, and a napalm grenade. So that's his 6 points worth of kit. And our rifleman has taken 2 common items: enhanced targeting, increases his ranged attack, a med pack, and 2 of his own specific skills: marksmanship and sentry drone. Sentry drone is pretty cool. The sentry drone gets its own miniature and also its own stats card. So this is like a 4th commando effectively, but we've not deployed him just yet. Finally, we take our commandos and place them in the entranceway. So I think I'm going to put the recon specialist up front near the door. Where does this go? Here. Then the rifleman at the back, and our heavy support specialist here. Each of these units has a facing. If you look on the miniature, they've got an arrow on the foot. It's not always easy to see, but we'll have this one facing this way. This one needs to turn to face forwards, and this guy is already facing forwards. Okay. What I'm going to recommend is actually colouring those, or highlighting or painting them so that they stand out. Just before we get started, the other things that you're going to need to pull out are 3 downed cards, 1 for each player. Alright, there's 5 supplied with the game. Keep these to one side. If your guy is down, he's not out, but his stats are severely reduced. He can't perform anything other than move. Med packs have no effect on you, and you cannot use the ability of your kit cards. Alright, so keep those to one side. And also, these cards that have numbers 1 to 3 on each side, these are our initiative cards. One of the disco team, one of the commandos, is going to be the team leader. The commandos each have a rank, and the highest ranked commando becomes this commanding officer. Okay, so if you've got the team leader, he will become commanding officer. If you don't, then it will be this guy. If you don't have him, well, for our group of 3, we've got this guy, this guy, this guy. The heavy support specialist is the highest rank in the team, so he's going to be commanding officer. The commanding officer is responsible for assigning these initiative cards to each of the commandos in the team. So who gets to go first, second or third is determined by the commanding officer. Okay, and I'll show you that one now when we demo gameplay.